Yo fam, what is up? You are back for another video with Datazero. This is your daily outlook prediction for stocks and crypto. This video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. Please do your own research and due diligence for buying any stock or crypto asset. Now that being said, we're going to be hopping in the charts, show you guys what's going on for today. Market was pretty slow today, but I think something is brewing. Let me break down why. Now, we have to see what's going on with this government shutdown because the government shutdown data drops could come into play. But it looks like the earliest the government could be opening is Friday. Now, right now, it is in the process of getting voted on in the House. We haven't got any updates on that. You guys can see right here. And then there's some crazy stuff going on. The Epstein emails were released. I don't know if they're trying to distract us. I don't know what's going on, but things are getting crazy with the news cycle. We have the government shutdown, and then all of a sudden, Epstein emails are released. What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? But I talked about that on the live stream. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. That way you guys can get more in-depth things on the live stream. Put the bell notification on. But we need to see if the bill goes through the House. And then once it goes to the House, the president has to sign it into law. And then the government should reopen. This should happen on Friday, or that would be the earliest, or potentially Monday or Tuesday. But I'm thinking there's a 98% chance that the government reopens, in my personal opinion. We will be watching this very, very closely, so make sure you guys lock in. Now, if that does happen, that could be potentially bullish for the overall market. The meme stocks right now, GameStop went up and retested the 2150 level. We were above it briefly, but broke back down. We want GameStop to break back above that. Now, when in doubt, zoom out. We are consolidating. We made this higher low. We're consolidating. We need to get above 2150 though here on GME. I showed you guys time and time again in multiple videos right now that GME has a ton of buy orders around these levels. So people are accumulating GME in these ranges. And this is why I think it's going to get a bounce and hold that $18 to $20 floor. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's going any lower than that. AMC also getting at least some good news, right? I know people are very, very down on AMC right now. They're thinking pretty much it's over, especially with this potential dilution on the horizon coming up here December 10th. But you guys can see we broke above $2.45. At least we're getting some good news, and we closed above that. If AMC is able to hold this key level, we could potentially go as high as $2.50. You guys can see we actually retested that today. And if we can break and hold 250, you guys can see there's a good chance that we break above the sloping support and resistance. And if we do that, then I'll be able to determine that yes, indeed, AMC is bottoming right now. So again, make sure you guys lock in, like and subscribe, because this number will change. But right around 2250 is what we're looking for AMC to hold that. And if it's able to hold that and break above that, that's a good sign that AMC will actually be bottoming here and start to push up. Now, we do have to worry about that December 10th date. They'll be able to kick the can down the road, in my personal opinion, because of that dilution. It's a massive amount of dilution that would be on the horizon. They want to literally double the float. But right now, here at time of recording for AMC, you guys can see that they're definitely getting ready for something because they've been dark pooling a lot. You guys can see dark pool volume's been high, 63% right here for the day. And then you guys can see AMC cost to borrow and how many shares they're using. Okay, you guys can see AMC cost to borrow 0.47%, 6.7 million short shares here for AMC. They got a bunch today, so they're definitely expecting it to move up, and they're getting those shares ready. That way they can try to keep this thing down heading into December 10th, because they want to keep it as low as possible heading into that date. And then that way, once they get to that date, then they can kick the can down the road even more if they do get a yes vote. Now, GME's cost to borrow shot up today. It's at 0.89%. If it goes 1% or higher, that is very, very, very bullish. This is why I said something is potentially brewing in the background for the meme stocks and the stock market as well. I'll break that down in the SPY section. But you guys can see for GameStop, they only have 2 million shares available to short. So less than AMC, because that cost to borrow is higher. It costs more for them to short, and it seems like liquidity is drying up here for GME. So things are going to get interesting, especially if GME is able to hold that 2150 level, which it should be able to do this week. Now, we are coming up here towards the end of the week. We want to see GME definitely push up. It's only slightly red right now, 0.65% on the week. AMC here on the week, though, is green. So AMC is having a green week right now, and SPY so far is having a green week. GME warrants are up about 1% here in after hours. Just to put that on the table, GME warrants sitting at $2.70. Those will go up as GME goes up. The closer GME gets to $32, the more intrinsic value those warrants have. Now, again, GME, we want to see break above that 2150 level. If we're able to do that, then we could head to the support and resistance of 2165, and we have multiple gap fills to the upside for GME. And with all of these buy orders, I think we are going to be bottoming and pushing to the upside, in my personal opinion. You guys can see each time in the past, every time we come down to these levels, we actually got these decent rallies to the upside. I believe that's what we're potentially setting up for as well, a decent rally to the upside, but we have to first bottom. Again, you guys can see it can take a while for GME to bottom, but once it does, it rallies up. It comes down to this level of about $21 to $18, around that range, and then gets a nice push up. You guys can see ever since we got this bottom here from the double bottom when I called this out, and then got this huge move to the upside, we've been using that $18 to $21 level as support, and each time we bottom off of that level, we get decent rallies back to the upside. So if we hold it once again, I think we're going to see another decent rally back to the upside, and then potentially heading towards that $32 level, which if we were able to break and hold $32, that's where GME could literally explode. So this is what we're looking at for the meme stocks. It looks like GME is potentially bottoming. AMC is potentially bottoming as well. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom on the horizon for AMC, but it looks like we are potentially bottoming here based off the chart. You guys can see green MACD, bullish momentum building, RSI trending up. This looks good for AMC to hold 245 and head towards 250. And if we break and hold 250, we could see a decent pop to the upside, heading all the way back up to 280 or $3. So this is what we're looking at for AMC and GME. Let's go ahead and move into SPY and the overall market, show you guys what's going on there, and then we'll head into the crypto section. So SPY is pulling back here slightly in after hours. I do expect it to get a bounce, in my personal opinion. As long as SPY holds 681.82, you should see a continuation to the upside. Now, we do have a 685 price target here for SPY. It hit it here pre-market. So we want to be very, very careful, as we could be topping out here for SPY. Why do I say that? The momentum is starting to get bearish. I told you guys in the weekly outlook and prediction we would see bullishness for the first half of the week and then bearishness in the later half of the week. You guys can see here on the bigger time frames, we're starting to lose momentum, and I think SPY is starting to top out. Now, I do think we will see a continuation up, but it will be a pop to the upside and then drop down. We are definitely losing momentum here on SPY. And key stocks that have been holding SPY up are starting to look bearish. NVIDIA is starting to look kind of bearish here. You guys can see it's been on an overall downtrend. It's looking like it might be potentially topping out and starting to pull back. Apple started to pull back today, got a little bit of a bounce, but then started dumping back to the downside. We want to be careful. If Apple and NVIDIA, these are one of the two biggest stocks, especially that control SPY and NASDAQ, start to pull back together, that would be devastating for the overall market. So you want to be very, very careful. Also, NASDAQ is looking kind of bearish as well. So I think we're heading near a top. Now, we still have this gap fill to the upside here on NASDAQ. We have broken above the sloping support and resistance. We're consolidating. So it's a little too early to say that we're going to start dumping down right now. That's why I think we will see a pop to the upside. But once we get that pop, momentum is most likely going to fade, and then we'll drop down. The pop to the upside, I have the price targets of 683 to 685 is where I think we'll be. Right now, we're sitting at that 683 range here on close, but you guys can see right now here in after hours, we are much below that. So again, I think we're going to go as high as 683, 685 in that range, and then dump to the downside, and then potentially start heading down. I told you guys way before this even happened that it's going to play a lot of people. I said SPY is going to rally up and then correct down, and I believe that is still in play. I told you guys that on the weekly outlook and prediction. Ever since we dumped down and before when I called this bear flag drop down, ever since we've bottomed from that and pushed up, I said we're going to rally up and correct down. And I think that's exactly what we're about to see here for SPY. I think we're going to see one more push to the upside, but then I think we're going to start seeing this thing start to move down. So heading into Friday and then possibly next week, we're going to see some downwards momentum here for SPY. So this is what we're looking at. Tomorrow, I think we're going to see upside recovery as long as SPY is able to hold. Again, it must hold and stay above 681.82. If it loses 681.82, it could head down to 680.78. But what I believe is going to be happening is we'll probably bounce off of this level and then head back towards 683, 685. And then once we hit that, start to drop down. So this is what we're looking at for SPY in the overall market. Let's go ahead and head into BTC, show you guys what's going on here, and then we will wrap up this video. So Bitcoin and crypto. Bitcoin just retested 100,000. We did bounce off of that. We need to hold this key level. Now, I explained in yesterday's video, because of potential bullish catalyst, we're looking out for the XRP ETF. It did get approved and it should start trading this week. So we should see it here this week, if not as late as next week. Just a little reminder, though, also NVIDIA earnings are coming up as well. But again, if the government opens up, that should be bullish for both stocks and crypto. It's not going to be crazy bullish, but it should at least be somewhat bullish and help add momentum. But we have to remember that when that does happen, data drops are going to come back and play. And we have things like inflation and PPI that are possibly coming up this week if the government does open up. Now, I don't think it's going to be opening up to affect us this week, because even if it opened up Friday, they're not going to have the data ready. So next week, potentially, we could start having data drops come into play. Now, you guys can see, again, key coins like XRP, Ethereum, they're holding up right now. And I explained in yesterday's video that normally during the end of these cycles of the bull runs, this is when we start to get a potential altcoin season. I'm not saying that is the case just yet because I don't see enough signs of that. But if we do get this XRP ETF and maybe some other altcoin ETFs, that could help provide bullish catalyst. And then last time when we had major altcoin seasons was right here during this top and right here during this top. That's when we had crazy altcoin seasons where altcoins outperformed BTC and they were just going crazy, like 10, 20% gains almost every day for a couple days, couple weeks in a row. But it was absolutely wild if you guys remember that during 2021 and then late here in 2021 as well, in 2020, late 2020, and then 2021 when this altcoin season went crazy. So everybody was talking about crypto, and that's how you kind of knew it was a top as well. Crypto, fear and greed sitting in extreme fear. So again, just be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Just keep that in mind. That way you can move opposite of the herd. Normally, extreme fear marks bottoms and extreme greed marks tops. But right now, maybe some of that fear is founded because it looks like BTC is definitely starting to top out. And if we lose this 100K level, we're going to drop down. And if we break below this trend line here, this is the bull market support trend line. As long as we are above it, we're in a bull market. But if we break below it, we're going to be entering a potential bear market. Now, it could be something similar to what we saw last time where we dropped down and then rallying up and make a higher high later. But during these end phase cycles is when a potential altcoin season could happen. And I'm very interested to see what coins like XRP, Ethereum, Cardano, ADA could potentially do during this later stages of the bull market, which I think we are in. XRP, you want to see a clean break above $2.50. If it's able to hold that, that is definitely a sign of recovery, and it's looking good to actually be able to do that. You guys can see it's making this higher low setup right here, and some of these sell orders, now some of them are still here. You guys can see it's crazy, but a lot of them are starting to disappear. If we can get rid of these, then that could easily help XRP start to move up. Waiting for more ETFs to get approved. Again, the Canary one should start trading soon under the ticker symbol XRPC. So be looking for that. It's going to be trading on the NASDAQ. It did get approved. That is 100% confirmed. There was a couple other ones trying to get in there as well. So we're looking for those. But these are spot ETFs. So that should cause buying pressure here for XRP. The reason why I think that they're trying to have these sell orders here is they're trying to accumulate it before it makes another move up. As long as XRP can break back above $2.50, we could see a push towards 275, and if it breaks and holds 275, there's a potential chance for it to move back towards $3 and maybe even $3.50. And it will also signify that XRP is ending this overall downtrend that it's been in ever since hitting that peak high of 366. It's been pulling back ever since then. It's finding support here around like 250, 225. Anything under 250 is a buy in my personal opinion, and I believe it's going to be moving back towards $3 here very, very soon. Now, of course, if Bitcoin were to dump, that would definitely change things, but as long as Bitcoin can stay above like 80K, 90K in those ranges, and it would be great even if it stayed above 100K. I believe we could see some altcoins move, and then potentially we might be entering a bearish cycle for crypto. So again, if you're up massively, you want to be taking profits, because it definitely looks like BTC is going to be pulling back, and Bitcoin dominance is still extremely high. And with Bitcoin dominance being this high, if Bitcoin pulls back, altcoins are going to pull back as well. 57.7% here on BTC dominance. Also, if you are looking for altcoin season, you want to be looking for Bitcoin dominance to go down. If it goes down, that's a sign that we are moving towards a potential altcoin season, and that Bitcoin whales are moving profits and gains into altcoins, maybe looking for those altcoin gains during an altcoin season. And then, of course, Ethereum dominance would move up as well. For Bitcoin, or for altcoin season, you would see Bitcoin dominance around like 50 to 45% or lower, and you would see Ethereum dominance at 15 to 20% or higher. So this is what we're looking at, guys, for stocks and crypto. Again, we're potentially entering the last phases of this bull market. We're potentially going to enter a bearish move for BTC, where we maybe pull back, come up higher later, but it looks like we might be dropping down. Definitely losing momentum. Weekly MACD going red, and then monthly MACD potentially going red as well. So we just want to be aware of this. But we could have a little altcoin season before this happens. I'm still very, very bullish on crypto for the long term, and I will be holding. And if we drop down, I will be picking it up. And it's very, very interesting to see Bitcoin hold this 100K level for so long. So, guys, if you watch to the end of the video, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. I appreciate all of you guys, man. We truly wouldn't be here without this community. This community is why we're able to do this and continue moving forward. YouTube's been drawing lately with the views and the way they count things, and even how they're paying people. So that's why you're seeing a lot of creators quit and stuff like that. But we are not having to do that because this community continues to support us so much. So if you want to support for free, just hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. And as always, y'all, have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out, fam.